Right, so last year I did a project where I made up my own beehives, and one of the pieces of wood that I used was particularly smooth and clear, and I thought before I assemble this brood box I should do a nice carving on the front of it. The idea was to do it over winter when I was quieter. I was not any quieter. So, because I could do with some more brood boxes, I'm going to make this one up now. I'm going to carve a kind of simple kind of strap work design, a little bit like my workbench down there. So a little bit like that, but actually one I've seen in a church on a pulpit, and it doesn't look too difficult, but it looks quite effective. So I thought it'd be a nice project to do, especially as this is in pine, so we can get and carve that. First of all, I'm going to get a quick sand to about 120, get it nice and smooth, and I'm going to draw out the design. Right, so I've drawn it up. Basically symmetry, 4 quarters, and I used a bit of greaseproof paper to transfer it across, makes it a bit quicker. And I've marked all the areas that are waste. I'm now going to go and chop this out. Okay, to start with, I've just lined out using the V tool. This is just a 45-degree V tool. It's called 45 degree, actually 90 degrees. And just edged around it. It gives me a feel for what I'm working with. It's quite nice. I mean, it's pine. It's not going to be ideal to carve, but it's quite nice. And now I'm going to go round and kind of stamp out all the shapes that I can. So I've got some straight chisels. I'll get some curves to match these different curves, and the design might change depending on what chisels I've got, because I'm not being too hard and fast on this, and it's far easier to have chisels that match the curve than don't. To do this, I'm going to go around just with a mallet. So I'll do some of the straight edges first. If it's nice and sharp, all we're doing is we're just laying it down on the actual line and then striking it. And you see what I normally do is I have my fingers so they hit the ground kind of first. And it just means then that when you lay it out, it's done. And we'll go around the edge as well, actually. Doesn't take long with a big chisel. You can get bigger. I find it's about as maximum as I want to kind of hit into this kind of wood. So we'll do that. Then we'll cut those out, and then we'll talk about taking out some of the waste. It takes a bit of time. I might do it 1/4 at a time, or I might not. Okay, so I've outlined most of it. There's probably a few lines I've missed here and there. There's one there I've missed. And now the idea is that I'm gonna remove the background. It's gonna be quite a tooled finish, so we're not gonna worry too much. So we're just gonna remove all the bits I've shaded out. Gonna use this number 6 13mm. Might have to use some smaller ones in a few other places as well. Try and use as big as you can to remove as much as you can without going too deep. Might have to deepen some of these lines out again. So might have to take some, then take it down, and then we'll texture the background. So I'm not too worried about getting it perfectly smooth, because we're going to use a punch and texture the background, just because it's a nice, easy way to get a reasonable finish, especially if we wax it or something. It'll look quite cool. Okay, so next bit is I've got a textured punch. You can see that. And I'm going to go around all the bits that fits in, and I'll grind up a nail for all the bits I can't get at with this, some tighter corners. And well, depends how I finish it then. We'll see. To get to the tighter bits, I'll just go to the nail. Okay, there we go. It is carved. So let's assemble the brood box. I'm going to decide how to finish it. Part of me wants to do the background red and be a little bit braver than I sometimes am with colour. Normally just keep things very natural. It'd be nice for the bees to see it, but it'd also be quite fun to do something a bit different. So here I've got a sample from something I did for the book. I did a sample piece from the Book of Cows. I did the background on the sample red and I quite liked it, but I didn't do it on the main piece. So perhaps I should do that on this. I should paint it red and be a bit braver, get it in there, and then we can kind of oil or wax the outside. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. We'll get it together and then we'll have a look. I've put together quite a few brood boxes now. I think it's better off to put these pieces on first and then slide the side pieces down afterwards. Don't think it makes huge amounts of odds. This is one I've made myself. Plenty of glue. paint. Ooh. Oh, straight right up on it. Oh. Looks alright. Time to give it a coat of oil. Okay, we're going to oil this up, and I have found I'm using raw linseed oil. Quite a safe finish for animals and stuff. But I have found that it is re-wetting up the paint that I've put on the front, which I kind of thought might happen. But as long as I'm careful, it should then fix it in place eventually when it dries. That's the plan. We only treat outside of the box. So here we go. We have got my beehive with the carved front, which I think looks rather nice. The plan being that the bees will be able to see which their hive is. It looks quite nice as well. Could do with a non-painted top and bottom really for it, but I quite like that. I think that's quite nice. The acrylic paint did re-wet up with the linseed oil, the raw linseed oil, which I thought it might happen. So kind of like dab it all into the places, try not to spread the paint around. I'm hoping now that that raw linseed oil will set that eventually. It'll take a long time. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what it looks like in a few weeks or a few months' time. Hopefully get some bees in here fairly soon. There's no bees in this one. That's why I am right by the entrance. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I know this is a bit of a random one, but see you next time.